Welcome, Victor Adafuya, who is the
Yes,
founder and CEO of Data Consulting, the AI transformation blueprint for B2B sales. Super excited to host you here. How have you been?
I've been really well. How are you? Oh, I got to turn on my camera. That'll help.
Yeah,
Yes. I'm well. How are you? I'm excited to
long
be.
time. Yeah, long time no see.
Yes, yes, yes. I'm excited for this topic. It's been a great day. Lots of incredible insights, and hopefully, what I share today kind of brings everything together and talks about how we can actually realize sort of the full potential of investments in AI.
Excited for this. Let's do it.
Yes, absolutely. Okay, so let's dive in. I have some slides that I want to share with you guys, and then a few resources. So let me make sure my slides are set up here. Here we go. All right, so mine is a little bit. It's a demo. I will be demoing different tools, but I think the most important thing is to make sure that um, we are aligned in terms of how do we actually produce the impacts that there's so much potential for with AI. And so that's what I wanted to talk about today is not just there's a tool here that does this, or I've heard AI can be helpful in this way or that way. It's my This presentation is more about how do we make sure that we are choosing the right tools, that we are focusing on the right problems, which ultimately drives the true ROI. So gonna dive right in. Okay, so I'm sure that everyone that's been attending for today have heard all of the wonderful things that are happening in the world of AI. But at the same time, while a lot of companies are investing in AI, there's a lot of data suggesting that only a few of them actually are seeing results. I don't know, for those of you who may be less nerdy about these topics than I am, there's been a huge debate over the last few weeks that was triggered by a study from MIT that found that 95% of AI pilots fail. Right. And so that obviously is a big headline. The media jumped on top of that, created a lot of debate about this question of is AI, can it live up to its potential? I think unequivocally yes, but we need to approach AI in a very different way than most firms are approaching it. What I'm seeing, having been in this space for 10, 15 years as an advisor in for B2B and go-to-market organizations. I've seen a lot of digital transformation initiatives get started that didn't actually live up to their fullest potential. And my concern is that we are about to make very much the same mistakes that we've made in digital transformation, but the stakes here are so much higher. So today, my plan is to share with you guys a blueprint for how to actually choose the right AI tools directed towards the right problems in your go-to-market process. So for what it's worth, my focus is on B2B, go-to-market, and sales. And so that's what this presentation is all about. All right. And so here's kind of like the headline. It's a statement that I learned at my old firm, Winning by Design, where I was an MD there for a few years. But I think it is applicable not only to sales calls, but also this challenge of AI transformation and adoption. And that phrase is prescription before diagnosis is malpractice, right? And so what does that mean? Well, it's think about it in the doctor context, right? If you go into a medical office and you walk in with a headache, and the doctor barely asks you any questions, barely runs any tests, and then recommends that you have brain surgery the next day, most of us would be opposed to that. We would think that there wasn't enough information here to have reached the conclusion. And so I think a lot of what we're seeing right now is a lot of prescribing solutions without a true diagnostic of the problem that we're trying to solve, and the value of trying to solve it. And so that's what I want to share with you today is how do we embark on this AI transformation journey, but by focusing not just on the tools and the fancy AI that's available, but really understanding what are the challenges that you should prioritize and focus on. So, just really quickly, let's. I want to talk a little bit about why what doesn't work, right? And so, as someone again who's been in this AI, well, not AI, but in sales enablement, transformation, go-to-market strategy for a decade and a half, I've seen a lot of companies fail in their efforts to transform their organizations, whether it's bringing on a new technology or it's rolling out a new methodology or anything, right? A new way that we want to write proposals, a new tool that we want to use. There are the key issue that always needs to be solved is change management and behavior, right? And so for a lot of organizations, they kind of skirt over the change management piece, right? There's a hope that that the tool itself will solve the problem, right? There are a lot of people out there who, have, Gong and they use Gong and they use other revenue intelligence or call intelligence solutions. But everything that I've heard from my working with clients is that most of those calls don't get listened to, right? And so just having the tool is not enough to get the fullest the most out of it because the tool actually has to be used, and there's the behavior of reviewing calls, analyzing them, coaching towards them hasn't been changed, and unless you get that behavior change from the managers and the reps, then having a tool like Gong is not really going to get you very far. Very often, we also try to solve these problems by just diving into training. Hey, let's roll out training to the team. Let's thinking that the training alone is going to move the needle, but there's the forgetting curve. There's 100 reasons why training without reinforcement doesn't really get you very far, right? And so then we think about, all right, how do we reinforce this? One big way is through the managers, but managers or sales managers are among the most overwhelmed people within an organization. They have so many things on their plate. They're getting it from, the executive team. They have the reps that they need to answer to, and then they have all of the pressures from external parties. And so it becomes very difficult to get them to be reinforcers, right? And a lot of them maybe don't have the skills, they don't have the background to be able to focus on behavior change among their teams. And then, of course, we have enablement, one pagers, guides, things like that, persona cards. And unless those things are tailored to the organization, unless they're being used, they're not going to be able to drive results, right? And so all of these traditional approaches, the reason why they fail is that they they're too focused on they're not focused enough on the behavior change piece. They're not focused enough on the change management piece and the realization that that for you to really move the needle, you need to get the reps to behave in ways that they're doing, and the managers, the whole team, to be acting in ways that are different than they're doing today. And so the first step is understanding what is going on today, what is the status quo, so that we can be with evidence, so that we can be specifically targeting those challenges. So, what I want to recommend for you today is a 5-step diagnostic framework, right? That I believe is the best path towards making AI transformations stick, right? It starts with diagnosing and understanding the root cause of the issues that you're experiencing within your funnel, right? Before you buy any tools, before you invest in any AI demos, I would strongly, this is the critical first step that a lot of people miss, right? And what I'm going to show you today is how AI can actually help you with this critical first step so that you can accelerate it. Right. And then once you've determined what are the key issues to focus on, then it becomes, all right, how do we design an AI tool that will actually solve the problem that is specifically directed at the issues, the real issues that the organization is facing? Then we roll it out to the team, right? And then building into their workflows. Then we do the training, and then we make sure that there is ongoing reinforcement so that that behavior change actually sticks. So I want to give you a real case study of an old client of mine where we took this approach and what the outputs were. And then I'm going to show you guys a demo of exactly how you go about doing this sort of analysis. So I had a client. They were a fast growing company. They, in a few short years went from 4 salespeople all the way up to 24. But there were some persistent challenges that they just kept on running into, right? There were a huge performance gap, right? Some of their best reps were performing head and shoulders above everybody else, right? They were generating a large volume of leads, but only a small percentage of them were actually converting. And then this was among the biggest issues. They had a huge no-show rate. So a lot of their leads were coming from Facebook. And so, I think Facebook, no knock to Facebook, but a lot of times those often I've seen them be kind of like lower commitment type of leads, right? And so when even though folks were signing up for discovery calls with their BDRs and their AEs, half of them weren't showing. And so they were spending all this money on Facebook, driving leads, right? That would go as far as filling out the form, giving them the information that they need. But when it came down to it, they weren't showing up. Right. And so there were a myriad of these issues throughout the organization. It really had an impact on their ability to scale. The CEO, he's an engineer, and he said he described the situation to me as he wants to build a factory. He wants to have the same way that he can go out and hire a engineer off the street, and if they have the right background, they can come into his organization and be able to build the complex software and hardware that they were building. He wants to be able to reliably bring in sales reps, plug them into his system and then efficiently get them onboarding and doing the right things. But he couldn't do that with confidence because, one example he gave was that sometimes he would have to put a rep on a performance improvement plan. And then when he put them on the performance improvement plan, all of a sudden they start producing a lot more. Right. And those issues made him less confident in his ability to scale, and really kind of these issues were blocking them from achieving their fullest potential. Oh. And so we did a diagnostic with them, and I'll show you a little bit more about what I mean by that. And among other things, we analyzed their sales data, and then we also analyzed their calls. So we took hundreds of calls throughout that were conducted by their teams, analyzed them, try to create objective ways to determine the strengths and the weaknesses of that were evident in those calls, right? And they used the SPICE methodology. Those of you who are familiar with SPICE: situation, pain, impact, critical event, and decision. And so we try to quantify what was SPICE. What were the patterns among SPICE from their top performers, and then also looking at their closed won deals and their closed lost deals. And there was a lot of the patterns were immediately evident. Right? One of them was, and I think the biggest one was this first one: impact quantification. What we found was that the sales reps that were the most successful were the reps who were doing a true ROI analysis with their customers. So what does that look like? Well, this organization, they sell these LED signs that are on the side of the road, right? And every organization, every restaurant that has a sign in front of their building will be evolving to LED over the next few years, because it makes no sense to have people climb up those poles and change the letters whenever you have a new lunch special. It's better to just have it be digital on a screen, right? And so, but it was a big investment. Right. And the restaurant owners, et cetera, they were a little nervous about, okay, I'm going to shell out, 100 grand, 50 grand, whatever it may be. And is this thing going to pay for itself or not? And some of the weaker reps, and in the deals that stalled or lost, it was kind of a lot of hand waving. Yeah, oh, our clients tell us all the time that it pays for itself. Don't worry about it. It's going to pay for itself. But their best reps, and often in the deals that actually closed, they were doing what they call a traffic analysis, right? And so what they would put the address of the restaurant into this tool that they had, and that tool could estimate how many cars were driving in front of the restaurant every single day. And then it was a conversation with the owner about, all right, if we could put your delicious lunch special on a huge sign and people could see it from, half a mile away down the road, what do you think would be the impact? Do you think you get one more person coming in every day? All right. How much does the average person spend when they come into your restaurant? All right, $50 a ticket. All right, this thing will pay for itself in a month or two, right? What that it was the real detailed analysis using the client's numbers that moved the needle. And so that was a key insight, because what it meant was we should prioritize any sort of intervention, whether it's AI, whether it's training or enablement, but directed towards these specific problems that were evident through the analysis that we did. And so we know objectively that the failure to do these things were leading to worse results. Right. And so now, knowing what the answer is, we can, in this case, we did, a refresher of the training on ROI for the team. We built out some ROI calculators for the team, right? Built that into their onboarding program, right? And so, and then we're also looking at different AI tools that'll help and identify when that traffic analysis wasn't being done, so that the rep could be flagged and it could motivate them to do it, right? With the idea that if we adopt these solutions, we're going to see, a positive impact. And that's exactly what we did. Their win rates went up by 20% within 3 months of implementing some of these changes, right? And so that wasn't the only kind of observation that we had, right? So they were, like all organizations, very much interested in AI. And so they too were curious about what other AI tools can we invest in, or which AI tools should we invest in that'll really move the needle. And so again, we looked at what are the different challenges that were evident within the organization, right? And then thought about, okay, what then is the AI tool that will be able to help address that problem? So it, again, like I said at the beginning, we didn't start with the AI tool. We started with the root cause, the problems that were evident in their sales funnel, in their sales metrics, in their sales calls, and then being able to understand and quantify what is the financial impact of this, right? If we were able to get you, 10% more closed ones, right? Increase your win rate from, 20% to 22% with your closed one through this intervention. What is the bottom line impact of that, right? And so that was the way that we were able to say confidently that an investment in these various AI tools will actually move the needle in this way, and then you'll be able to get a positive ROI. Frankly, whenever I hear from folks that, they're having difficulty quantifying the ROI of their investments in AI, especially in the go-to-market arena, B2B sales. I'm always like, you're doing it wrong, right? Because at the end of the day, there are only a few like levers that we can pull in sales, right? It's either you're shortening the sales cycle, you're improving conversion rates, you're improving your contract value, right? Or you're improving the speed that deals are going through the funnel, right? And so if you cannot point to one of those metrics, volume, speed, conversion, then you're not likely then what you're doing is not working, right? And so there has to be a way for us to connect not only the challenges that we're seeing, but also the tools that we are deciding to invest in to actual quantifiable, measurable impacts. And we need to know that going into them, not after we bought the tool, but going into that purchase decision so that we're making the right choice that will actually move the needle. So, what does that look like? Well, there are a few things that you always want to start with to be able to get this AI diagnostic and to do it the right way. So, one of them is call analysis. So, being able to look at calls at scale, identify patterns across those calls to try to understand, like I just showed you, what are the differences between the closed loss, the closed won, different industries, top performing reps versus everybody else, right? You also want to, and I'm going to show you an example of that shortly. You also want to do sales process mapping. So being able to map out, all right, end to end, where do deals get stuck? What are the first, second, third meetings that we have? What are some of the issues that come up there? You look at your sales data, your pipeline data, and you can see, we have a huge drop off on stage 4. A lot of deals end up going dark after the demo, whatever the issues are. You need to be able to map out that process and then try to find the bottleneck within that process. The next step that you want to look for is benchmarking. And so looking at your performance metrics, your lead to MQLs, your MQLs to SALs, whatever funnel metrics that you use that are relevant to your sale, being able to identify what those are, if you're in SaaS, it's a lot easier to benchmark, right? Because we have these VCs and other organizations that are out there tracking these metrics. And so, wherever you can, get your hands on some comparable benchmark data. And that's also another area that AI can help, leveraging deep research tools to try to find benchmarks that are appropriate for you to compare your performance to. Right? It's the combination of the call analysis, right? Which actually reflects the team skills and behaviors, right? Then the process mapping to understand the bottlenecks, and then the benchmarking. It's a combination of these things that give you a clear view of what are the biggest issues to address in this sales motion and what's the potential return by doing so. So this is just a little bit more about that end-to-end process.